Hey guys, and welcome to bonus video 1, switching cameras. In this video, I'm going to show you how to switch from first to third person view like that. Third person, first person, third person, first person. It's surprisingly simple. Hey, and welcome back. So I have solved my 100 lecture limit challenge. I'm going to dive into BT100 now, and I am going to show you how to change to a first-person camera. That's been popularly demanded over on our voting site. So if I just show you that, if you go to voting.gamedev.tv, and you click on Unreal Course, you can see all the suggestions and things that people are talking about. And quite high up here is switching from third to first person view. It's only got 35 votes, but it's enough that, I want to do it, and it's pretty simple to show you. So here we are inside Unreal Engine. The first thing I'm going to do actually while we talk about feedback from you guys is to fix a little bug. And for that, I want to thank Dan M, who on community.gamedev.tv has told us that if you change the way that you do the UI slightly from the video, then your line traces in the player controller may end up hitting the UI effectively. And we want to change ECC visibility to ECC camera to get around that. That will give you guys more options. So let's just do that. We go into Visual Studio. We go into the Tank Player Controller C++ under the get look vector hit location, or whatever you've called your method. And where we do our line trace, instead of ECC visibility, we change it to ECC camera. And that just changes what it hits and what it doesn't hit, changes the filtering, and can remove a bug for you. So I'm going to compile. And while I'm compiling, I'm just going to remind you that when you are at our site, like community.gamedevtv or voting.gamedevtv, you can actually switch between them if it stops loading this thread. At the top here, you can just click voting there, community there, and so on. And Udemy just takes you to the courses. Okay, so let's see if that compile has finished. I think it has, and if we just play the game, should play exactly as it was before. Apart from, there you go, that's fine. I was just inside the terrain. So what I had there is my camera was just inside the terrain. Okay, so nothing's changed, but if you decide to, say, put your health bar rather than where it is here on the tank, which kind of floats if the tank depossesses like that, some people are putting their health bar in the corners of the screen. If you're doing that, then there's a risk that you line trace and hit your own user interface, and then things go wrong, and then your barrel ends up sticking up in the air. So that small change to the code that I've made there inside the Tank Player Controller C++ will solve that. Okay, now how do we get a first-person camera working? You go to the tank blueprint. Let's go duplicate the existing camera that's there. And then with the new camera, let's just move it and stick it on top of the tank and rotate it till it's about horizontal. Now, I don't know exactly where we want it until we look through it, but something like that is going to be okay for me. So now we have two cameras, camera and camera 1. I'm just going to compile and save. If I show you now, nothing changes because we've not told the system to switch to the other camera yet. So in order to be able to switch to the other camera, we need some new input. So I'm going to go to the project settings, input, and I want you to bind an action. In my case, I'm going to use a controller button. So I'm just going to say switch or swap cam. And then I'm going to use the gamepad's face button top, which is the Y button on an Xbox controller. Triangle, I think, on a PS4 controller. Or use a key, no problem. So you've got a new action mapping. So that gives you a swap cam thing there. Now, I don't like these cameras being named the same. That's really, named meaninglessly. That is confusing. So I'm just going to say third person. And then I'm going to say first person on this guy. F2, by the way, is a shortcut to rename. Oops, not F1. F2, first person. There we go. Let's just compile and save that blueprint and go into the event graph. Now, in the event graph, you will now have, if you right-click, a swap cam event, of course. Now, what I want you to do is to see if you can make this camera swapping work. If you search for toggle, come off the pressed and search for toggle, you're going to find some toggle activation methods, which pretty much do it for you. So look, why don't you just finish it off for the satisfaction of it? Search for a toggle node. See if you can make it work. It's as simple as that. And you'll be surprised how easy it is. Of course, you're going to need to toggle both cameras. So go ahead, pause the video. See if you can make camera swapping work now. Awesome, welcome back. So let's see how this works. So if I push the camera swap button, then I want to toggle active the first person camera. And it automatically drags in a reference to it. You see that? And then immediately after that, it doesn't matter which order because it's going to happen so quickly we're never even going to realize, we toggle active the third person. And that's it. Now, if we want to comment that block, we can just say camera swapping. And that should pretty much be it. Now, arguably, camera swapping is, I'll just put that note back, sorry, edit, undo, delete selection. What I want to do is take this camera swapping stuff, cut it, and put it in input setup, because really it is just input binding, isn't it? Why have it over in the event graph when it could be in input? And that's the thing, these are all just event graphs, and you can move them around. That makes more sense to me. Okay. Compile and save, and let's see if it works. It may need a minor adjustment, but let's see. So there I am. I push... Oh, I need the controller on, so I'm just turning the Xbox controller on now. And as soon as it comes alive, which it has now, I can push Y, and there you go. I swap. Now, this other camera, there's something wrong with it, and that is because the camera that we are starting with, and well done if you work this out, this first-person camera is starting as active, and we don't want it to be active in the beginning. Okay, we want it to be inactive in the beginning so that the third-person camera is active in the beginning and the first-person camera is inactive. The problem with the first-person camera being active is we're just getting some arbitrary default camera view that we're switching to, which is at the root transform of the tank in the middle if both cameras start as active. The whole point of this toggle here is that we're toggling the activity. You see, toggle active. So you need to start third-person inactive, active, and first-person inactive. Okay, so let's try that. If I hit Y now, aha, and actually that's not far off that view. I'm going to stick with that, and now I've got a first-person view. So there you go. That has been done. So well done, and I will see you later.